Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Got the Unfiltered crew in here. I'm really excited to talk ball today. It's been a little bit, probably since spring ball that we've gotten together or post spring ball, but we are now in couple weeks and about 2 weeks and a half before the season starts, and a lot has happened in camp. Everybody, if you're a Texas fan and you've been outside, you're well aware of the injury woes within the running back room. We're definitely going to touch on that. We're going to touch on a few different position groups that we really want to hit on, and a lot more. But no, excited to have my buddies here today. Vashawn, Chris, what's going on, fellas?
What's going on, Steve? Man, glad to be back, man. Glad to be back. It's You can smell the football in the air, brother. It's getting close. It's getting real close.
Amen, amen. How we doing, Chris?
Doing very well. I mean, this is that time of the year, man. I love August for this reason. Not the Texas heat, but the Texas football that's coming right behind.
Absolutely. So as we get ready for football season, I also want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, um, Autograph. Guys, check out Autograph. I know we actually picked them up during March Madness, but they're actually a very cool app, consolidated sports content for the Texas Longhorns. They've now expanded to NFL, NBA, MLB. So if you were a fan of a whole bunch of different Texas teams, you actually have the opportunity to get rewarded for your fandom. Check out Autograph. Follow any links that articles that you read about your favorite team, any podcasts that you listen to about your favorite team, or any videos you may be watching covering your favorite team, are all consolidated in that Autograph app, and you get points for every bit of content you consume. What do those points do? They give you an opportunity at discounted merch, discounted tickets, prizes such as you know special tickets to certain games, or really big games. I know right now there's several promotions running for Texas, Michigan. If you're looking to get a Michigan, have an opportunity to go to that game, hit up Autograph. It's in the App Store. It's in the Google Play. Our code is Fanatic24. If you use my code, it's an invite only app. So that's my gift to you guys. Check out Autograph. It actually started by Tom Brady, and he being a Michigan alum, they launched this for Michigan football last season, and they sent a whole bunch of people to the playoff game as well as the national championship. People that were super loyal fans to Autograph. So really excited to be partnered with them. Hit that link, Fanatic24, and it is a free app that you can use. So I know we'll get Vashawn back on here in a second. Brother Chris, obviously said Baxter Jr. goes down. We talked about that. We're excited to see the young guys step up, get them more opportunities, get them more reps. Unfortunately, in the last scrimmage, Christian Clark, young back, very excited about in our freshman class from Arizona, announced today that he has a torn Achilles. So very unfortunate. The injury bug has hit us hard, as well as losing guys like Savion Red in the portal. Who, to be fair to him, at the time, he's like the fifth guy on the chart. And now we're left with three scholarship running backs.
Right.
At this moment, we've heard of Darian Gillette, moving into the room and taking some snaps.
Yeah.
Which is funny because his track coach was Ramonce Taylor in high school. So that's interesting. Heard Ryan Niblett getting some opportunities in there, looking like some guys just trying to get on the field at this point, right? I mean, whatever it takes. How are you digesting this as a Texas fan, first and foremost, and then just fill me in on some tidbits, what you and Vashawn and the guys at Unfiltered have been talking about this, because I know it's been a primary topic of conversation amongst the entire Texas fan base.
Well, honestly, I'll be honest with you. Some of our guys and Unfiltered and some of my friends, just around, they've had to kind of calm me down about it because I mean, I feel bad because it's an injury. It's not just a football thing. It's for these guys in general. For me, first off, I look at a guy like C.J. Baxter. Him and Blue last year. We look at that Rose, or not the Rose Bowl. I'm sorry, the Sugar Bowl they played last year. And in the second half, they both had a fumble that kind of like turned the game a little bit, made it a little harder for us to get back in it. And all offseason, I know those guys were training like, man, I need to get back. I can't wait to show this fan base. I can't wait to show everybody else what I have. And to hear this happen to Baxter the way it did, man, it's just it's hard. It's hard to get. I mean, it's still hard to kind of bring in and understand. But like I pray that he, mentally that he heals, and physically, just as important, that he's ready to come back. I think Baxter, he offered a lot with the 21 personnel, the two back personnel in general. We were able, as you saw in that Washington game, to move the ball at will with them. Sark kind of felt once the fumble started happening, he had to take one off the field to kind of talk to him to make sure he knew the importance of it. And we weren't able to be in that personnel. Well, this year now, that we're down him and Christian Clark, we're going to see what Sark is made of, man. We're going to see what this team is made of. There's a lot of, reasons why we should be upset. There's a lot of reasons why we should be happy. This is the best offensive line at Texas we've had since 2005, 2006. These guys, I feel good about every man on the front four. I feel good about the next four coming in after that. When was the last time you could say that? We just can't, we can't worry about it until it happens. Like there's an old Bernie Mac saying that I've been trying to tell myself, he's like, says, I don't worry about S until S happens. But, I don't have a Bernie Mac voice anymore, but I'm a little worried, but like we have strengths. We need to worry about our strengths and the strengths that we have, and not worry about the weaknesses. Everything else should fill in the right way.
Well, the good thing, Chris, is the running backs in the offensive line, as well as a veteran quarterback in year 3 in Sark's offense. By the way, go check out my video about Quinn Ewers and Steve Sarkisian and why I think it's going to explode in year 3, which is even more the reason why we need Quinn to pop, by the way. He's going to need to take on a lot of that too. But the running back is going to be impacted mostly by the quarterback and the offensive line. You're spot on there. I also look at this as, the bad luck started last year with this position because we lost Jonathan Brooks to an ACL, right, against TCU. Keelan Robinson's hand, still don't even know what happened with that, right? Like he's wearing a cast in the bowl game, which means we couldn't use his package in the Sugar Bowl, and now we lose Baxter. So it's like, man, whatever juju has happened in that room, they need a cleansing or something, man. Vashawn, I don't know if you guys can provide some holy water to those brothers in there, man, or something. But it goes back to last year, and it's like something that's continued because I don't know. There's not another position on this team where we're getting hit like this. But like you said, Chris, we got to manage. It's an opportunity. Jaden Boot is still there. Trey Wisner's still there. Vashawn, I know you've been you're very solution oriented person. So you've talked about behind the scenes about, okay, what do we do, right? Who are the guys? We know about Jaden Blue. A lot of people are excited for Trey Wisner. What's your perspective on this?
Well, that's playing running back in high school and looking at a lot of running backs throughout the Texas high school high school period. That's probably one of the most dual play position. Usually running backs play linebackers, running backs play safety, running backs even play some corner because they got good feet, just depending on your size. So, man, that's one of the positions that you can manufacture some production from some guys that's currently on your roster. One of the reasons I always say, take athletes. Take your 2 or 3 athletes every year just in case something like this happens. Going back to an article wrote by my boy Dub, Charlie Williams, the 2019 debacle. The issue Herman had, the difference, Herman had 4 scholarship running backs on his. Sark has 5. Now you don't want to lose 2, but we still have 3. Still have 3 scholarship running backs as of right now. And from what I understand, they're looking at, of course, Gillette and now Niblett. And I told Simp this the other day when the first injury happened before Clark went down and said, man, if you go look at Niblett's highlight tape in high school, and
Yep.
remember, Simp, I said this 2-3 days ago before this came out. I said that dude was a very good option quarterback. Now they say he plays some running back too. He really would remember Steve going back. He was kind of raw as a receiver. See, he was going to have to
Yes.
learn to play receiver. He was more adept at running the ball. So I would say look at Niblett. I mean, he's not, and then also being on the offensive side is a little easier to know the play calls because he has to know the routes to run. He already pretty much probably what the running back's doing. So it's going to be instinctive for him. And it's a way to get him on the field with all that speed. And you never know what can happen, Steve. Think about it. Rojo made the move 2019 to help the team out. Love you, Rojo, for making that move. Cash and checks in the NFL.
Yeah, he is.
Now cash and checks in the NFL. Nobody ever saw that. He said, hey, you know what? My coach, I'll go over there. Now, he was a heck of a runner, too, just like Niblett. Very good runner. And so I'm not saying that anything, Niblett going to go on to be a superstar, nothing like that guy. And anything can happen at running back. Running back, you can find running backs all over to your roster. I actually looked, Steve, Ty Anthony Smith, the freshman linebacker from Jasper. He played some running back. Who else? I mean, I bet you I can go up and down that rock. But Keaton
I
Crawford,
looked at
before he
Juan.
left, go ahead.
Yeah, he. I looked at Juan Davis as well. Juan Davis had taken carries. Juan Davis played every position in high school.
Yes.
There's multiple guys. Now, one guy that was also mentioned, but this is where you get a little dicey because he's kind of getting reps with the first and second team, Jelani McDonald, who also took carries.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to start messing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. If
I'm
you got
looking
a
at
guy
the
that's in the too
people.
deep, go ahead. My bad.
Yes. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
looking, but you're right. Like,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the people who are looking
Yeah.
to get on the field. Ryan Niblett is a perfect example, right? He's not in the
Yes.
too deep right now
Yeah.
on the depth chart. Juan Davis is probably tight end 3 or 4, right? So
Yeah.
those are guys you can afford. Darian Gillette is another good example. Those are guys, young guys that are kind of in the incubator right now anyway, that can just come in and, hey, I have opportunity to get on the field and get some opportunity, get some burn. Show the coaches that I can run the football and protect the football. It helps the whole team, right? I mean, at this point, all hands on deck.
And I think it was reported. It wasn't it reported, Steve, or did we hear maybe insider Simp? Anthony Hill was approached. He said, "Oh no." I think his dad said no.
Yeah.
So I mean, the guy's gonna be a stud, a starter. I wouldn't. I mean, he needs all the reps he can get at linebacker and all the mental reps he can get. If you take him, y'all got to think about it. If you take a guy out the linebacker room, he now has to go over to the running back room. That's some training, learning, understanding the playbook, all of that. You're taking him out of. Simp brought up a good point. Could that have stunted David Bender's growth? Because Bender in 2019 had to go to the running back room in an emergency role. And Bender was supposed to be that dude, but he kind of, it was a slow learning curve for him. Could have stunted his growth? We don't know, but I'm pretty sure it didn't help it.
It didn't help Deshaun Jameson playing wide receiver in 2018, neither. And I think that's something the SEC and a lot of coaches are really, really good at. And we've seen the Big 12 coaches hate on Texas, but they're going to start telling these kids, hey, you want to play linebacker here? They might put you at running back. They're going to look at David. I mean, the reason why David Bender is still here, and I want you to think about this. Put this in terms right now. David Bender came in as a linebacker. He was standing in 2019 on the field on the sideline as our number 3 running back when we play LSU against Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and those guys. Because that we did that and we stunted his growth, we have a chance for him to help our linebacker room in 2024. And
Mhm.
other teams are going to start telling you that, or it's going to start telling recruits that. But right now, this is the 2024 season. We can't really worry about what other teams are saying. I think it'll help us
Exactly.
out in the future
Right.
once we have 100. I think once we have 105 scholarships, that's a thing that not a lot of people are talking about. Once it goes from 85 to 105, you can recruit that running back that you normally wouldn't probably had recruited. That probably needs a couple of years to until he's on the field. I wouldn't mind having that guy, that 2 or 3 star, or that guy that that's not quite developed yet on my roster.
That you
You're going
see
to see that.
upside. Yeah.
Yeah. And that if they need to get, in a game, they can. I'm gonna say this. I'm not gonna be critical of Sark. I'm not gonna I'm you can ask for Sean. I'm the biggest Sark fan that there is. That man, in my opinion, in times cannot do any wrong at all. But one thing that I do want to talk about is that, man, managing this roster a little better. In my opinion, you need to have 6 running backs on scholarships at all times. I don't care if some are fullbacks. I don't care if some are scat backs. You know what I'm saying? And like, I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't privy to the conversation that was had with Savion Red before he left. But I mean, man, like this guy, either way, whether all those guys are here or whether they're not, or whether one's gone, whether I don't care, this guy would have been useful on this roster somehow. Like he would have been. If we had Savion Red right now, I mean, I think your 2 back would be you'd still like he's not Cedric Baxter, no. But I think he gives you that size. I think he gives you that physicality. And I think by year 3 in this system, under Tashard Choice, him as a blocker in the backfield, you trust him. We just got to start having conversations, different conversations. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not being critical of Sark. He knows more about football than I would ever dream of. But same time, though, like we've managed a roster where we're down to 3 running backs. I mean, we have 3 quarterbacks on scholarship. I mean, I'm glad we don't run like, a true spread where we have the quarterbacks running around 10, 15. If Tom Herman
Getting
was here,
hit.
yeah,
Yeah.
that wouldn't work. You know, I just want him to think about the management of the rosters. Like I said, it'll be helpful after this year once you go to 105 scholarships. But until then, that's something that has to be thought about.
So to that point, the thing is how do you consistently keep 6 guys happy, because
Yeah.
NIL is a factor now and all these other things, and Savion Red, to be fair to him, had already played 2 years, right? The clock is ticking, and I got people who are younger than me in front of me. So and guys that are, he's played a bunch of different positions himself, but right now, yes, opportunity knocks. It would have been perfect to keep him around just one more year. I also think but Chris, until we get to that 105 point, people have talked about Sark praised a guy like Colin Page today, who's a walk on.
Mhm.
I will say this, they've done a better job with their walk on and preferred takes.
Oh
They're
yeah,
getting really good competitive guys, and I can't believe we're here talking about walk ons. But, these are guys that actually were high level high school football players that could get offers at other schools. So they do have some of those, those Johnny tryhards that are a little bit better than what they've typically gotten over the last 10 to 15 years, where we haven't had high level walk-ons, because that's also what becomes the bulk of your scout team and scrimmage guys and stuff like that. Texas has picked up a lot more competitive type guys like that all over the place. I mean, Michael Taft was a walk-on, right? And look at him now. So
yeah,
they've done a better job with taking that. But to your point, when they get to 105, I agree with you. It's going to have to be 6 RBs at all time, especially
yeah.
in today's era.
Hmm.
I want to touch on Isaac's comment here, because the focus is going to be on Jaden Blue, and he's it was 1A 1B with him and Baxter. He's number 1 now, right? Like a standout number 1 back. But what does that work share look like? What does that workload look like? Especially a guy of his size, a guy who, when he was recruited, he came here saying, hey, one of the reasons why I like Texas is because I get to be in kind of more of a timeshare backfield where I can save my body. I don't
Yeah,
have to, I'm not going to they're not going to put 400 carries on me. Right.
yeah,
And now we're in a situation where Isaac's saying, hey, he can carry the load. running, passing, but what realistically is that sweet spot for Jaden Blue to where we're not running him into the ground, but we're also getting the most out of him. Do you see what I'm saying? Because
Yep.
to me, that's something they're going to have to play with. And you're probably going to have to throw the green jersey on him the rest of camp. I mean, at this point, as
Wrap
far
'em.
as I'm
Put 'em in
concerned,
bubble wrap.
Jaden Blue is now a non-contact player the
Yeah.
rest of camp. It is what it is. But I mean, just y'all's perspective there in terms of. I'll start with you, Chris, just on the workload question, because I think it's a good point by Isaac.
It's. I mean, that's a great question. Honestly, from obviously it depends. You can't say a number necessarily because it's a feel each game, but being what he is and just his speed, everything. I mean, he's put on some weight. Like Tom Herman would say, he's put on some of that good armor over the offseason. He's above 205 pounds now. I still think anything above 18 to 20 touches, and I mean touches, not carries. I mean touches. I think you're kind of, you're pushing it. Um, he's you got to use that short passing game this year, big time. This is going to look like some previous Texas teams in the past that didn't have good offensive lines, but they had to somehow run the ball. We saw Greg Davis back in the day come out and throw the ball, pepper the ball so many times, 20, 25 times in the first half with Colt McCoy, and that would somehow open the running game because he didn't have an offensive line. I think Sark's just going to have to do this because of the number of backs that he has, and like you said, we have a third-year quarterback in Quinn now, and honestly, at times though, just like in life, man, like sometimes people grow up when they're put in tough situations, just because one game, he may have 15, 16 carries, 4 or 5 catches. If he's still running the ball, if he's still showing you effectiveness, you got to keep giving him the ball. But I mean, we got to get Gibson in there. We got to get Trey Weisner. Like we can't, boutique players. There's no boutique players in our backfield anymore. You all are, there's no special. The only boutique player is probably going to be Darian Gillette if he were to come in, or anyone else that they bring on. But these 3 running backs now, you're full blown, you're full price Johnny, man. Like it's time to go. And you can't be afraid to use these guys. You can't run Blue and Weisner, 15, 20 times up the middle, that many times. No. I mean, but you've got to keep them honest. You can't be predictable. I mean, this is going to be a test to see how, like I said earlier, to see how good Sark is. We're going to see it. There's going to be some things. This guy is so innovative. There's going to be some things in football that we probably haven't seen in a while, or we haven't seen ever, that we're going to see this year. I'm interested to see how they use their H backs. I wonder what Juan Davis is going to look like in this offense. I mean, not necessarily, him just lining up at fullback. That guy might get a couple of carries when you don't, when you least expect it. We might go back to a lot of 2-back, with him as an H-back. That's not a bad idea. When I see a guy like Juan Davis, I think, of course, I'm showing my age, but I think of guys like Keith Byers or a Steve Sewell, or whatever, guys like that would H-backs types that would, maybe carry it 4 or 5 times in a game, but also catch you 2, 3, 4 passes, would do it all. I mean, we may need a little of that. You might see, when you see the fake Liz, the fake end around, you see so many times a team does that, and Sark does that just to fool the linebacker and see where he's at, and then they give it to the other running back for another 5 or 7 yard gain. You might see that guy actually get the ball on some of those end arounds, which is a play I like to see because no one ever does that anymore. Whether any kind of wildcat or any, like, the end around is not as, like, I mean, you'll see it on a reverse, but you don't see it. It's always something that's trying to fake the defense out to see what they're in. You might see a lot of that, but I mean, we just got to get really creative.
I have a comment up here from Oni Kuno, who's one of my YouTube peers on the OU side, covering them, and he makes a good point here about 2021. I do remember that year for OU when Kennedy Brooks really had to handle the load. They got some running from Caleb Williams as well as a freshman at that time, but yeah, he's right. I mean, Kennedy Brooks really had to handle the load. I remember OU getting hit hard. This is something a lot of teams have to deal with. Like Chris, like you said, this is now Sark's challenge. Texas A&M right now, I think, only has 3 scholarship running backs because they lost Ruben Owens. They're going to have to figure some things out. I mean, that's why these coaches make millions of dollars. You got to find, either get somebody ready. We saw Stan Drayton do it with Roshan in 2019, and Roshan moved late in camp, if I recall. He moved very late in camp to the running back position, and
It was a week
Louisiana.
before the opener.
Yeah, and
It was a week before the opener.
Yeah, and Louisiana Tech. I remember him already getting in game and getting carries, and obviously he was RB2 versus LSU, right? So right off the bat, I mean, we don't have time to wait. We got to go. We're light, but like you said, the quarterback also is going to have to pick some of that up with the short passing game and things of that sort to be effective. Look, the other thing too is just Quinn's maturity and decision making, right? And keeping us on the football field, keeping us on time, and hitting on the big plays, right? I mean, some of the things we've lacked. The one thing we haven't fully gotten that we saw Sark have at Alabama is those 3-play drive touchdowns, right? Like we've had some at Texas, but it was more the first year with Casey and Hudson where we had more of those, and then we had a couple last year. But I'd like to start seeing us hit on a lot of explosives, right? Because Sark is preach this. The more plays you have in a drive, the more opportunities you have to screw it up, right? Yep. And it's hard to have a 15-play drive, 16-play drive, and you want to be as diverse as possible. But I think it's imperative this year that we really focus on being an explosive football team. Plays 20 yards and plus, right? I want to see that number go up. Texas was a yardage monster last year. I said this in the Quinn Ewers video I made. They set the school record last year for passing yards, believe it or not. And they had a back over 1,000 yards of Jonathan Brooks. Baxter was over 600 yards rushing. Blue put up yards. They were yardage monsters. Now I want to see that turn into big plays downfield, right? And chunk yardage that way. I think that's a way we can mitigate some of this and keep guys fresh and keep guys clean. But Sean, did you want to add anything else to the running back conversation? Because I did want to move over to the defensive side of the ball and have a little chat with you guys there while I have you on. But if I want to make sure I'm
Well, just and sorry, I think I lost connection earlier, but just
you're good.
To reiterate what you were just saying, and I see guys, it's not panic mode yet, and it's not. But in 2019, we lost 3 running backs, and they had, by necessity, they had to find some running backs. We got to remember that's a physical position, very physical. What you want, and I think y'all even mentioned it. You don't want to wear out Jaden Blue. You don't want to put more than 15, 16 carries on him. Wisener's going to have to step up. I think the production is going to be the same. It's just going to look different.
Yep.
Sark is a mastermind at getting yards. Offense will be fine, and I believe that. And somebody brought up to my attention. What's up, Leon? 2019 LSU. I believe they only had 2 running backs. They ran with that entire season. Now they threw it 60 times.
Yeah.
But they won.
Yeah.
So Sark's just going to have to win by any means necessary. The production, long as you get the W's, it doesn't matter how it looks. I don't care if you come out in the wing tee and you run, you know what I'm saying? You got Juan Davis and 2 other linebackers back there. If you get a win, get a win. I trust Sark. We got all these receivers. Quinn knows the offense now. So I believe we can still come out there and be successful. But you're correct, though, man. I mean, like I say, is it time to panic? No, not yet. But we can't have another one go down. and then then we'll see what happens then.
No, we're gonna need some good luck during the season. Like that's why I said, John, you're gonna have to sprinkle the holy water in there, um, and hopefully, you know, this is something that we can look back at and say, wow, like that was the beginning of a special season for Jaden Blue. Wow, that was, Trey Wisner stepped up and was an awesome RB2 this season, and developed. He accelerated his development. Hopefully, those are the conversations we're having at the end of the season. I've talked a lot about offense recently on this channel, and as I'm getting ramped up, but I am super excited for so many elements of the defense. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm encouraged by the reports I've heard on Vernon Broughton, where he's gotten to in terms of defending against the run. Alfred Collins, where he's gotten to from a consistency standpoint, as well as some of the other, newer names like Jermaine Lowell and Bill Norton, who we've heard, have some really good snaps. And then, even my young boy, big boy from Jersey, his name
Sadir
is
Mitchell. Yeah.
Sadir Mitchell, right?
Yep.
Like
I
I'm
forget his
hearing.
name too. I forget his name.
No, that's yeah, you know exactly what I was talking about. Yeah, Sadir
Right.
Mitchell, right? Like
Right.
that's five people I just named right there, right? Like on the defensive, because to me, like before the running back everything started, the questions were about the interior defensive line.
Yep.
Bo Davis is gone. What are we gonna do? Are we soft in the middle? Anthony Hill's taking over middle linebacker. We want to make sure our young middle linebacker's protected. The middle of your defense is everything. It sounds like we've really been physical and on point there. It sounds like Anthony Hill's come to play. I'm going to be making a video about him exclusively here soon, but I'm encouraged about that because it's only going to enable you to do so much more cool stuff with the defensive ends and the edge guys, which we're excited because we're loaded there, and I can say that. When you add a Trey Moore and a Colin Simmons and a healthy Colton Vasek to Ethan Burke and Baron Sorrell, who are your incumbent starters, and you can mess around with that lineup, there's a lot of cool things you can do with that. So I think Texas's pass rush is going to be amazing. I guess my questions are still with the secondary in terms of what I want to see, but it's more so just where guys are. I think we know about Barron playing corner. Where are the questions for you guys? For me, my questions are in the secondary, but I want to be fair to you guys. So, Chris, if you want to start us off there.
Personally, my questions, looking at that bowl game, they were in the secondary. But honestly, and nothing against the guys that departed here. Like those guys worked really hard, gave us a lot. Jaron Thompson gave us a lot. That young man played his tail off. He was a lot better, last year than he was when he first got to campus. Same with Keaton Crawford. But I think when you add a guy like Andre Makuba back in that safety room, I think when you take a guy like Jalen Gilbo and you can get him back and he's 100% healthy.
And he's healthy.
Like, wouldn't it be something that this guy came in here in 2022, if he had a good enough year, and this is just a hypothetical, what if we could even talk about him being a 3-and-out player? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not saying that he's pushing Jahdae Barron, off the field because he's not. But basically him coming in and, killing at the star, it lets Barron play everywhere. Barron wants to play in the NFL, wants to play on that next level. And I think he may be a safety on that next level, but I mean, it's going to be able to show him his versatility. I'm worried about depth in a linebacker room. We have a linebacker who I'm very fond of, who, even though he's young, he's moving to the other side of the ball. Let's say we start having some injuries in the linebacker room, knock on wood, the way these last couple of weeks have been going. But I mean, if that happens, that's scary for me, But I mean, like the safety room, like we were saying, the interior defensive line, like it's gonna be strength in numbers there. There's not gonna be like last year where you have two main guys playing and then you have other guys coming in and filtering in. I'm stoked about that. I think the thing that we haven't talked about yet with our defense, the reason why we should be really happy, I think Johnny Nansen's come in with this secondary, even though he's a linebackers coach, you can tell what he's doing. I mean, what was that lineup they had last year at Vashon with those all the DBs on the room? What was it when he had the 6 or 7 DBs on?
Oh, somebody
Like,
at Arizona?
yeah,
We in
like
Arizona? Yeah. Something
yeah,
like that. Got 6 or 7 DBs, yeah.
yeah, and then it's just
Mhm.
like just when you got players like Gilbo, when you got players like Jade Barron, when you got players like Derek Williams in the secondary. I mean, literally, PK takes a lot of garbage from this fan base and a lot from a lot of good people that know a lot about Texas football. But he takes a lot of garbage from this fan base, and he didn't even get a chance to pick his secondary coach. At least with Nansen, he has someone he's familiar with that can help put those guys in the right spot. But I'll tell you what, I think PK is going to do a great job. With these rushers, he finally has his rushers on the outside, so he
He
can actually run
does.
this defense. He
He
finally has
does.
that. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the different, packages they could have, with these guys. Man, I cannot wait to see Trey Moore come off that end, man. That's man, you know, he's not even. I mean, he's not even that superly built type guy. He's just the guy's will. When you come in to this room, a room like Texas, and they want to make you a captain immediately like that. When you come from a smaller school, and the guys, like I said, he's not built like Sean Oakman coming in here. He's not 6'6", 270. No, man. But it's just about looking the guys in the eye and being accountable. I mean, this guy's doing everything he needs to do. So
that depth there, right? Being able to
yeah,
rotate guys, right? Not having to rely on one person or not having to load up snaps. I mean, even the guys that played towards the end of last year, like Tap and Finkley and all those guys. I mean, you saw it started to help us more the more various people were rotating in, right? And so now there's a lot to play with in that room for them. I do agree with you about linebacker. I feel good about David Benda and Anthony Hill as my starters. When I look back at last season, so our leading tackler last year was Jalen Ford. He finished over 100 tackles. But after Jalen Ford, I believe the next 5 or 6 people that led our team in tackles are back, right? Like Jaden, like our second leading tackler was Anthony Hill. Then it was I think it was either Jade Barron or David Benda. They're both back. Michael Taft was up there in tackles. Derek Williams was up there in tackles. Like all these people I just like the fact that I'm getting all of when I started going down the list in terms of like guys that were actually who was responsible for getting people on the ground last year. Majority of those people are back. The person that led my team in sacks, the 2 out of the 3, right? Because they were tied with Byron Murphy, but between Ethan Burke and Anthony Hill, they're back. Now the interceptions, Bug and Terrence Brooks both had 3 picks last year. They're gone. But I'll take that with Makuba and all the other people we have and a Jelani McDonald who's getting older and that's a guy he can play a lot of different spots as well. I'm curious to see the athleticism and the speed and if that translates to more explosive plays on defense. What say you on that, Vashawn, in terms of what you're looking at from the defense?
All right, so looking at a few things that what made us successful last year. Number one, stop the run. We was number 3 in the country against the run. And as I looked around Saturday, looking at those 2 NFL studs that came off of Texas, they doing the same thing they did at
yeah,
Texas, pushing NFL offensive linemen around.
yep,
Byron Murphy and Tavondre Sweat were some dogs.
yeah,
None of us can't deny that. We're gonna miss them.
mhm,
But hold
Yeah,
on a minute.
exactly.
Let's talk about this for a minute.
mhm.
I saw somebody say, "So what Texas has done defensively with all the players they lost?" Well, let's take a look. Bill Norton, Arizona, big boy. And last time I checked, he was pushing around Oklahoma's offensive line in the bowl game. Surveyor.
He
Same
was
thing
too.
with Arizona. Now
Yep.
they had a I think Steve, they was top 30 against the run, maybe top like 24, 25, but they was decent against the run. Uh then we go pull what's his name? Low. I always pronounce it wrong.
Lole, Jermaine Lole.
Low Lay. Yeah,
Yep.
I
Jermaine
think
Lele. Yeah.
Oklahoma. I think he was committed to Oklahoma. Yeah, we flipped him. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Low Lay. We took him. Now he was coming out of Louisville. He was trending to be a first or a second day pick. And then, he had some leg injuries. So there's three guys right there. Not counting what we still have on campus. Collins is now 325 pounds. He's never been that big and he's never looked this good. Now I know Collins hasn't lived up to his ranking, but hey man, it's his fifth year. I
Hmm.
believe he's going to step up this year. And of course, Broughton actually got better last year. You
Yep.
can say, man, you can look at what Broughton did last year and say, man, Broughton was coming around. So
Yep.
I'm glad to hear that he's doing his thing. And to me, one of the most talented guys on the roster, if he can just, get his head together, is that's Jere
Joey
Bledsoe.
Bledsoe. I knew it. Jerry Bledsoe.
291 pounds, but man, when he was in high school, the boy was 270 playing fullback. I hope they don't put him at running back this year. But I mean, Jere Bledsoe is probably one of the most talented, quick first step guys. So what I'm saying is, guys, to me, the key to our defense, we was 12-2 with a top 10 rush defense. Guess what our pass defense ranked last year? 105. 105, and we still won 12 games. Still won 12 games. I'm not saying we need to do that again because we definitely don't.
Mhm.
I believe we're going to be better in the secondary. And why? Because I think we got better cornerbacks. I said it. I think we got better cornerback play this year. And having the coach coming over from Arizona, helping Terry Joseph, coaching that secondary, it got to be a help, man. So
Yeah.
I believe these guys are going to get better. Now, it might look different too, Steve. Again, I'm not saying we're going to have a top 3 rush defense like last year. It's probably look a little different. Just like Steve said, we're faster, so we'll probably get more turnovers, whatever the case. But I still believe the defense is going to be good. And PK, think about it, guys. If you go back, and I dare anybody on here to go look at PK's stat, put some respect on PK's name. Go
Thank you.
look at his stats after year one, everywhere he's coached at. The defense got better, better, better. And people kept giving, well, the second year when Texas got a top 25 defense, oh, well, that was GP. GP left. He get a top 10 defense. Now, who was it then? All I'm saying is, guys, we'll be fine defensively. And I know it's gonna be some haters on here talking, but
Hmm.
just pay attention. That's why Texas went and did what they did. We got numbers we can throw at in the trenches, baby. Talking about they're gonna wear us down in the SEC. You better ask somebody, what did we do to Alabama, the number one team in the SEC last year? What did we do to Alabama, the number one team in the SEC last year? We pushed them boys around. That's all I got, Steve.
Vashawn, we walked out of there, I believe, with 7 minutes left in the game and did not give the football back. And I know that was on the offensive side, but
In
that's
the
the team
trenches,
mentality
Steve.
in the
And these
Yep.
trenches.
boys talking about we not ready for the SEC. Go ask Alabama about that, then, and get your answer from them.
But if you talk to people in the SEC, see that's where you got to be careful who you're talking to and the noise, right? Because
Yeah.
the people that really understand SEC ball, they know what Kyle Flood is about. They know what
Yeah.
Jeff Banks is about. They know what Sark is about. They were scouting and coaching against these people not that long ago.
Yeah.
As I told a brother on Twitter earlier today, I'm like, y'all are forgetting. Somebody was questioning Sark's development of receivers, and I'm like, it was 4 years ago. He had a freaking Heisman winner as a receiver. Stop it,
He had
okay?
like 4
Knock
first
it
round
off.
picks at receiver.
like just but that's what I'm saying, it's noise,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Versus people know what's up. There's a reason why Texas is, shoot, this was on my agenda that I texted y'all. Texas being ranked at 4th in the AP poll, right? Where Texas will fall in the coaches poll. The way Texas was talked about at SEC Media Days, the people that know ball know what's up, right? They know how we've been recruiting. They know what Texas has been doing in the trenches. They understand Texas's development of these defensive tackles even before Byron Murphy and what we had last year with Tavondre. We had Keandre Coburn come around. We had Moro Ojimo come around, and they got drafted, right? And so yeah, it's Alfred Collins' turn. Yeah, it's Vernon Brock's turn.
That's right.
Right. But you said all those other people behind them, which tells me I have SEC level depth, right? I have us in those trench positions because we already gushed about the offensive line. We feel really, really good there. Also, the other thing too, the yes, we were 105th or whatever the number was against the pass. Well, people had to throw the football against us because they weren't going to run the ball. Like it's just the reality of the situation, right? Like we were we were under siege, right? It's going to be interesting watching the opener, by the way, against Colorado State because they're coming in here with air raid. They're going to try to throw the
They
ball
throw
60
it around.
times.
They throw it around.
So,
It's going to be a good test. Good
it's going to be
test,
a
certainly.
really
They do
good
throw it
test,
around.
right?
Yep.
So as we get closer to the opening game, we'll dive more into that. But I'm just telling y'all right now, the Colorado State game, DBs are going to be on their horses. They're going to be tossing the thing around. But where I talked about with speed and athleticism, because what we did lack last year was just raw, especially on the back end at times, right? We would see it. We just couldn't, like you said, I love Buck, right? And he made plays, right? He leader
Just a
of
step behind.
interceptions.
Just a step
Yeah,
behind.
but yeah, I mean, it just is what it is, right? So they made an effort to get faster. They made an effort to improve the athleticism. Shoot, Jalen Ford, fantastic linebacker. And his brain will be missed. His comms will be missed. But Anthony Hill's a better athlete. I mean, it's just that's not a controversial thing to say. David Bend is very, very fast. And when he sees it, he can roll, right? I mean, I remember he raced Overshown a couple years ago, and he beat him in a race, I believe. So these are guys that can fly when they really understand and see, where they're going and what's going on with the football. Defensively, too, I'm looking at, some of my older statesmen that have now taken over, the Michael Tafts of the world, the Jade Barons that have come back. We seem, I think at every level, we also have the proper experience. That's what excites me. So on my DB room, I got older guys there as well. At this point, even Manny Muhammad's played a lot of football. I know he's still only a sophomore, but when you start getting media availability opportunities and stuff, the coaches trust you. Even through what we mentioned with the older guys on the defensive line. So in all three areas of the defense, we have a great combination of an upgrade of speed and athleticism, also that experience that I think is crucial, especially for communication with the defense. That's half the battle. Half the battle is communication. Half the battle is pre-snap alignment. You got to line up in the right place pre-snap to even give yourself a chance. Vashawn, one thing I want to talk about before Chris comes back, and this wasn't really an issue with the defense, but offense. I want to go back to the offense. Somebody brought it up in the chat and it got me thinking. I need to see my short yardage offense and my situational offense get better. I thought we stunk last year on 3rd and 2s and beyond. For a team that went 12-2, again, we can talk about the goal line stuff. We can talk about the amount of field goals we kicked in the red zone. I think, especially with the running back woes, I need my quarterback to be able to run the offense on 3rd and 2 and continue to get yards, whether it's with his feet or efficiency in tight areas, especially inside the 10-yard line of, whether he's throwing accurate fades, accurate down the seam, or into tight windows. That's the growth I need to see from Quinn Ewers that I think will make us more efficient on 3rd down so that everything is available to us. Because it was very frustrating last year that we've had to resort on a regular basis. And this goes back to the Charlie Strong years. This is like a Texas thing. Back when they started doing the 18-wheeler, we've had to resort to either offset or jumbo package with the extra blocker just to get a damn
Yeah,
yard. I'm
yeah.
tired of it.
I'm tired of
I,
it too.
I
I'm
like.
tired of it.
I'd like to be in the days of being able to hand the ball off and knowing I can get enough of a push, to consistently get a yard. Right. I'm not saying they got to be Michigan out there. I know that's their phone booth guys, but I want to
Yeah.
be enough to where I feel where short yardage isn't killing us. And I think that's been to Texas's detriment the last few years. What say you, Vashon?
Once again, you're right on the money. Short yardage situations, we did struggle, and shockingly, still won 12 games, and we wasn't good. I mean, we probably good. We probably win. We probably go on to the national championship if we got that problem whipped. But one of the things I want to say with the staff and going into year 4, every time we had an issue, it seems like they fix it the next year. Besides the secondary, but I mean, one year I remember PK. What it was, third and long simp. We couldn't get teams off the field. We'll get them in 3rd and 12, 3rd and 11. They get first
Mhm.
downs. We fixed that issue. Sark was a little better in the goal. I mean, we used to call him Slick Vic. Used to call him Red Zone Shark Sark because we couldn't score in the red zone. He got a little better last year, but again, like Steve said,
Yeah.
have we ever? Let me ask y'all this question: have we ever seen a quarterback in a Sark coach quarterback in year 3 in the system? Maybe at Washington. I don't remember any guys. Most of the time, you guys get 2 years and they gone. I
Yeah.
think Quinn
Keith Price.
by
Keith Price
Keith
was
Price,
3 years,
3 years.
and he
Okay,
tore it up. That
he
that
tore it
third
up.
year, he tore it
Yes,
up. Yes.
he tore it up. So based on that, I believe Quinn, especially with that RPO game down there in the red zone, I think we'll get better. I'm hoping we get better on the 3rd and show, but just run the doggone ball. I'm like, and somebody said it earlier, man. Where I'm gonna scroll up. Steve Houston, he brought up, um, Connor. Connor sometimes gets blown up. Maybe put Neto in. But another thing too, I believe having Cam Williams out there. Cam is a mauler. He is a big time. He can block. I think we'll be able to get the tough yards. So, man, I'm excited. But I know Sark's working on that too. One of the things having these new assistants, think about it like this: you got analysts now that can help Sark out in that area. You can say, hey, bro, I need you to give me your best 20 plays while I go work with the quarterbacks over here. You go in the film room, you go work over here with the best 20 plays. When you get them, come see me. See, that's how that work. You know what I'm saying? You share the load with others. So having these analysts definitely will help out too, and then do some great self scouting as well.
So, Chris, while you bounce for a little bit, we're talking about the short yardage woes at
Mhm.
Texas, and I think that's a big thing that I need to see cleaned up this year. And I think it's multiple people that have to take responsibility for it. To Vashon's point,
Mhm.
assistant coaches, Sark is the play caller, Quinn is the quarterback, executing. The more you can execute, the more I feel comfortable calling in a tight scenario. Because I think people also need to understand this: it's easy to blame the play caller, but if I know y'all are less than 80% executing this in practice, I'm not calling it in the game. Like that, like
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he
Oh yeah.
knows that. So which means my sheet is limited. When y'all not executing this in practice, then I
Mhm.
can't call it in the game. And now we got to keep running, red, wild red or whatever. And
Yeah.
it gets tired. So the more you guys can execute, the more diverse I can be.
Yep. Here's my thing on that with the red zone. I think there's 2 factors that's going to help us out a lot. A, like Vashon said earlier on, and you said, and I said too, but we got a quarterback in his third year in the Sark system. All right. But along with that, man, I think honestly that tight end room, what I'm hearing about not Juan Davis and his blocking, is big time. Man, it's so weird because it's like, you see, we're talking about, all the years in the past having with the 18 wheeler or the wild Rojo or the wild Fozzie. We had to do that with Fozzie Whitaker back in the day. When you have three tight ends that you trust in there, that you can line up in 13 personnel, 23 personnel, no matter what you want to do. I mean, when the other team doesn't know, man, this guy could he could block me, he could run out and catch a pass. I don't think last year Quinn trusted Sark or Sark trusted Quinn enough in those situations to make those reads, to make those decisions. Now I think we have a little bit more of a loaded tight end room with Nyblock, with Gunnar Helm, with Juan Davis, with the freshman Jordan Washington, who's up to 245 pounds already.
He's
Like you
making
can
noise too.
yeah, big time, man. Like you're only as good as the players around you at times in certain situations. In that situation, at a second, third and goal, third and short, you need those guys on the field, man. Like it's because the team just doesn't know. Like, oh, you knew that we were running the ball four times at that goal line. They knew it, and they knew that we couldn't. They knew we weren't going to be able to get it in with the way they were stunting guys. Now that we trust our tight ends, nothing against Jatavian Sanders, but I think if that guy would have came back one more year, and I'm not going to tell a guy who's slotted to be in the second round of a draft to come back, but if that guy was able to block like he should have been, like we wouldn't be having these conversations. And again, I'm not throwing it at his feet and saying that he was majority of the reason why, because that guy made a lot of plays for us. That guy played his tail off. I'm not going to
Yeah,
be
he
that type
did.
of fan. I'm not going to be that type of fan. But what I will say, man, when you have complete tight ends that can do everything that needs to be done, man, that helps your quarterback out. Your quarterback don't get blown up like against Houston. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're able to keep the defense on his toes, man. Like you literally are. And I think we're more versatile than any year, and we're more stacked on the offensive line and at the tight end position, and at the quarterback position than any year that we've been since all those other years that we've just referenced when we're talking about us having to get those yards. So I think this could be our year. Even though we're down in the running back room, I think everything else around is going to be able to work for us.
And also with this team, and we'll wrap up this topic, and then because I know we're coming up on time. The more you can do, so going back to the OU situation, I know nobody wants to talk about it, but we got to, because that's the only way we're going to get better and fix this.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just the push; it was guys like you said, right? Like stunting, right? And so if you remember, McCullough made the last two plays, but Kip Lewis, who I don't even know if Kip Lewis was 200 pounds last year. He goes underneath guys, right? Like the big guys. Like he's
I was sitting right
shooting
there.
underneath, and he hit Jonathan Brooks in the backfield before he could even get any type of momentum, right? Because he shot right through the gap. Some of that is also like, all right, if y'all going to do that, I feel comfortable going out and spreading out on the goal line, and we're going to have a lighter box. And I trust my quarterback to get this ball in the end zone, whether it's throwing or he gets it in himself. Like the more you can do, because if people are going to play you that way, then you need to get them out of the box, right? Like that's what OU does. That's what they did when they got in that situation. They went completely spread,
Spread it out.
Billy and Gabriel ran it in because we have to go. We can't not go line up out there, right? So Texas, I know Sark and them love their condensed packages and their condensed sets. But we must stop being stubborn brothers and do whatever it takes to get the ball in the end zone. And when people are going to send little guys in there, shooting gaps like that, because it's not even about weight at that point. He's just quicker than a lineman pulling, getting to his spot. And now he's underneath that. It doesn't matter that I had 3 defensive tackles in there and all this girth and weight. Like, it doesn't matter. So we have to be willing to trust Quinn and that growth there. And we've talked about year 3 a lot. We've echoed that. Very, very important. Last question. You guys cool with Texas ranked fourth in the AP poll? Believe we're only behind. Who was the top three? It was Ohio State,
Uh, yeah,
um,
it was Georgia,
Georgia.
hmm
I think or was
and it's
Oregon
probably
three.
Oregon, maybe three.
I
I
gotta
think
go look
so.
at the AP poll
I gotta
again.
look at
I
it
think
too.
Oregon was three.
Uh, be honest with you, man. I don't. It's cool and all. I don't really trip on preseason rankings because I think who was in the top four last year? Washington. They wasn't preseason. Top 10, I don't
True.
believe. I had to go back and look. Texas wasn't preseason. Top 10. And I can't exactly remember where Michigan was at, but we know
You know what?
Alabama.
Let's
Yeah, yeah.
to
You
your
want to look
point.
at?
Let's
Yeah,
look at 2023's
yeah,
preseason AP poll. To your
yeah,
point, but no, because that's a good point, right? Like,
yeah.
how did
How
it
did it
play
play out?
out?
Yeah, and I believe A&M actually was in the top five last year. So,
So
like I said,
this
yeah.
was
Go ahead.
this was
Hmm.
yeah. So I actually have the 2023 poll pulled up. It
Okay.
was last year's was Georgia was one, Ohio State was
Okay.
two,
Hmm.
Oregon was. Hold on, no, this is my bad. This is still 20. No, my
This
bad.
this
This is,
year. Okay.
I got. They told me the wrong link. All right, let's see. What do we got here? Okay, it was Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Bama, LSU, USC was the top six.
Mm.
Georgia was one, Michigan was two, Ohio State was three, Bama was four, LSU was five. So out of that, two teams out of the preseason made the playoff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Not a bad number, I guess you could say.
no, so I mean, it
Yeah.
wasn't. I mean, Michigan was two. They were pretty spot on Michigan
Spot on with
last
Michigan,
year,
yeah. And
but
guess what? Bama was four. I think they got in number four, right? Was Bama four? Yep. They finished. They got in there at four. So
yeah, Bama was
yeah,
four. Yep.
yeah. But I will say this, guys. Texas hadn't been in the top five preseason, and I had to look this up since 2009. The last time we
Wow.
was in there, we went to the national championship, lost to Alabama. So for those that just like to hear those type of things, I think it is a good thing. It tells us our program is going in the right direction. But you got to while you got this hype, now you got to captivate. You got to we got to get there. We got to handle our business, and having uh four starting offensive linemen coming back, a 3-year starting quarterback. We went in the portal, got some great pieces at wide receiver. Even though we lost two running backs, we still got a nice running back room. We went and picked up three good guys in the portal on the D line. We got D line talent, and the edge rooms hasn't been this good in a long
I'm so excited about
time.
the edge room, dude.
Yes, it's the truth. Our edge room is so good. We can afford to sit. What's the kid we got? The other kid that played with Ethan Burke at Westlake.
Bassett,
Okay, Vasic. The edge room is so good. We got Vasic just sitting on the bench, just marinating, getting stronger. Him and Akana, both
Hook 'em,
of them.
Quentin.
Guess
Thank
what?
you.
OU fan. Yep, yep. So hook 'em,
Thank you.
Quentin. Uh, and that just tell you what type of talent we got in our edge room, man. To the point, Trey Moore comes in. You got uh Ethan Burke still there. I mean, we got a stud, Colin Simmons, just sitting in the bench, and he come off the bench. So just tell you, because I mean, the program's headed in the right direction, man. Secondary, I believe, will get better. They're going to get better. You got some good pieces at it. So is the ranking justified? Yes, I believe it is. If you look at the talent Texas got and how deep they are, and Sark keeps talking about this. This is the deepest team he's had, and he didn't stack class after class after class. Now we're going to bear the fruit. And even the pieces that we lost, we hit the portal and upgraded every position. Every position, I believe we upgraded. Besides the guys we lost to the NFL, we still rolling. So I think it's warranted, but we got to handle our business and keep it. What you got, Sim?
Closing thoughts, Chris.
Okay, before my device goes out again, I want to say this. I've been worried about, and not really worried, but there's all this talk about Arch coming in, this, that, the other. I heard a question the other day: if Quinn wins a national championship or gets us to the final, where does he rank within Quinn, Colt, or whatever? I know Quinn has more than Colt has around him. That's what made Colt so special. But if Quinn is able to develop the way we've seen him over the 3 years, and if he's able to have the season we think he can have, with everything that's happened so far this year, man, like this, Quinn has a chance to put himself in a different level. You know what I'm saying? That 2005 team was stacked. And I think one thing we got to stop doing as fans is trying to compare players to players to try to knock one down or to try to see who's better than Sam, see who's better than this, see who's better than that. But Quinn Ewers really has a chance to put himself in a different area code to where no one's really worried about Arch. To the fact where Arch can be himself and lead us to where he needs to go. But like literally, this is Quinn's time. I hope he's ready. It sounds like he's put in all the time over the offseason, with his weight and everything and learning the offense. But this is Quinn's time.
Two things real quick. Vashawn, for you. Preseason poll last year. So we mentioned Michigan was 2, Bama was 4. The other 2 playoff teams, Washington was 10, Texas was 11. Okay.
Wow.
So
Wow.
the other 2 were right next to each other.
Yeah, they're right there. Yeah.
They're right there. So that was the preseason poll last year. 2023, Texas was 11. Obviously, we ended up finishing number 3. Washington was number 10. They made it to the national championship game, and then Bama and Michigan, with Michigan winning the championship, they were ranked number 2. Bama was number 4. So that's for just, again, throwing that out there to Vashawn's point. To Chris's point about the quarterbacks, real quick. I believe we have a habit of comparing Texas guys to Texas guys because that's what we do. I did that in my video because, we want to stack rank against Texas lore. To me, I'm looking at Quinn like Carson Palmer in 2002 in the USC quarterback room.
Yeah.
Because that was directly Sark, and that led to Carson Palmer, Matt Leinart, Mark Sanchez, and like they got great QB play for a decade between those 3. And all 3 of those guys were, first round top 10 quarterbacks, right? So that's what I'm looking at with Sark and how he developed those kids at USC, because he stacked them and they were able. So Arch coming in could be hit the road running like Matt Leinart hit the road running his first year when he took over, right?
Yep.
Even though he didn't have experience, he took over and immediately won the Rose Bowl. So I'm looking at Sark in that manner. Guys, Unfiltered crew, where can people find you? I appreciate y'all coming on and stop by the channel today.
You can find us on Unfiltered, man. We're always on Unfiltered talking, doing videos, same thing, like you're doing. And hey, we love to talk ball. Just come join us, come holler at us, shoot us a message. We just some me and Sim, some guys just love to talk ball. And I tell you what, man, I always got my ears open. I always say this: stats over facts. I mean, stats over opinions. So you know what I'm saying. So hey, let's just talk, baby.
Yep, you guys are over on Facebook. So if you want to join their Facebook page, I'll have the link below in the video afterwards. And I also want to give one more shout out to our sponsor, Autograph. Guys, if you're not on Autograph or you haven't gotten a chance to sign up or you don't know about Autograph, it is a free app. All you have to do is download. Invitation only. Fanatic24 is the promo. And you can help take care of this channel, support this channel by signing up for Autograph. But the cool thing is you get rewarded as a fan. So all Texas content, videos like this that you already would watch, you do it through the app, you get points. Points allow you opportunities at discounted rates for tickets during the season, merchandise, accessibility. They're doing NIL. They've expanded to the NBA, to the NFL. So if you're a Cowboys fan, they have autograph for Cowboys. They have autograph for Texas Longhorns. They have autograph for Houston Astros or Texas Rangers or anything you're looking for your favorite teams. And you get to stack up those points and get opportunities for cool fan prizes, cool fan rewards. It's a true fan experience, and they talk about true fan pricing. We're going to have pricing coming to where you'll be able to buy secondary tickets off the market exclusively for autograph customers, where you won't have to pay extra rates and whatnot, and get to compare it to where you normally get your tickets. So check out Autograph. Fanatic24 is the code. Gentlemen, I appreciate you guys so very much. Chat, thank y'all for coming on. And we'll be back. I got Tran's coming back. We're going to be doing a video with him shortly. A lot of good stuff coming. I'll have these brothers on again, probably right before the season starts in a couple weeks. I mean, we got to talk regularly, fellas. So appreciate y'all. Remember, horns always up. Hook 'em.
Hook 'em.
Okay.